Right. So I think that this will going to influence the other industry consider for AI. I
Yeah,
think a big opportunity for saving energy.
right,
It's a
right.
good video. I've never recognized the kind of system will influence for energy consumption. Right?
Right. Right. So this is a really good example of what AI can do. Um, and
Like
the
for
results
example,
are
is we have data center their energy consumption, industry, but also another utility consumption industry is mining and refineries. And so commodity consumption, commodity using company, they are
mm,
using a lot of utilities energy, right?
right.
But they don't utilize sort of AI yet, 100%
Mm,
for sure.
right.
So
Right.
this is, I think, lots of critical energy critical country in the world. So I think it's a very good opportunity for ask them to utilize AI technology.
Mm, right.
Mm.
Another reason to be a little bit more cautious um about energy reduction is what she said completely actually in the beginning. We didn't look at that video, but she said every supply creates demand, and I noticed it. So this is the second time I see the video, but I noticed that every supply creates demand, and now I understand what she was talking about. That basically, if we produce more energy, then what it could do is demand is decreasing. So if basically we're saying that okay, we can run through AI, we can reduce the amount of energy used for data centers. What that could do is that actually that demand decreases, that reduces the price, and that could mean that we are using that saved energy in other ways through transportation or through other applications. So what we have to be very careful of is that we are not just saving energy to basically reduce the price and increase the demand for energy in other areas.
Hmm. That's right. I think that she didn't tell about how they're going to implement AI technology into data center. I I believe they have a lot of IoT equipment
Yes.
implementing, right? And a lot of data sensitive, equipment. They try to control the information, right? And
Well, she did show that. That was in that diagram she showed that basically she was showing the control and she was showing the data points and how they had to clean that up and put it back into the system and then and apply artificial intelligence to it in order to control to give the right parameter settings to the controls uh, in order to reduce energy efficiency.
my concern is big investment they did, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Google want to utilize for this AI software for their business.
Yeah.
So maybe they try to building the standard model for some industries, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, so that's exactly the point. So this is a very good point because the investment we need to make is enormous, not only in the AI itself, but in the entire industrial plant,
yeah, that's
making
right.
sure that you have controls, that you have sensors, and you set up a system that is highly advanced and complex to run. So the question is, do industries have the money to actually make those investments?
My concern is, I think, and Google will going to provide a system, including IoT technology, everything else. But most concern is how they're going to get data, big data, from their industry.
Well, that's rather simple. Like even in this simple example, just data center, they said they had like 10 controls that they had. Well, uh, basically they already had too many uh, things that to control in order for people to be able to manage that efficiently. So that the possibilities, the combination of parameter settings was so big that it was impossible for humans to actually do that all efficiently. Therefore, it was the, therefore they were only using like a small percentage of their actual options to control energy consumption. So by using AI, they could using calculation power, they were able to be much more refined in their settings and their
Oh, he's in taxi.
Yes.
Okay, go. Okay,
It's like you're in a tuk-tuk.
okay, let's continue.
So um,
You
there are,
said easy to get the information from data center.
no, it's not easy. It's I mean, but basically you can create a lot of control points because if a machine, if a computer can calculate it, it's much faster than humans can calculate it. So if you put many variables into the system, it becomes incredibly complex to calculate what is most efficient. So
No, Ed,
people
my
can do that.
question is how they're going to reduce 40% of their data center, efficiency. How they're going to do it? She said, okay, if human being try to control the reducing energy consumption,
Yeah.
and they have a lot of parameters, it's almost impossible to how to manage it. How are they going to reduce? What kind of factors? What kind of uh, uh, resources they could reduce the consumption of energy? Forty
So
percent, huge amount of volume, is it?
So basically, the industrial complex itself creates heat, for example, and then it cools it with water from outside. So basically, the demand that is put on the industry and compare it with Google searches. So if there is a huge surge in Google searches, that means that basically the machines need to work harder, so they need more cooling. That cooling, the capacity of cooling is dependent on the water temperature, the outside temperature. Um, so in order to fine tune that, humans are only capable of doing that to a certain
Mm,
extent. So
mm,
they can control maybe two, three elements. But if you create a much more refined system where you have many more control points and you're becoming much more uh, like smarter in a way that you can include like forecasting of
mm,
Google searches, including the weather forecast, creating, adding these elements into your algorithms. They will be able to much better tweak their settings so that they can actually reduce energy consumption. So that is a quite simple goal, right? To give to computers. So
mm,
reduce energy consumption. That's basically the bottom line. It's just like playing chess. Basically your end game is
mm,
the goal is to win by checkmate. So the same thing the same applies to an industrial complex. Okay, the goal is to minimize costs.
So
That
that
is a
they
very, very complex task.
so they good success to manage temperature.
Yeah, so they're much better equipped to tweak the system, to utilize the data, to optimize the controls in a way that it reduces the energy consumption. That is what the system does. They are much better capable of tweaking the system in a way that it reduces energy than any human could do, because there's just too much information that a human can process. There are too many ways that you can change the dials in order to reduce that energy. So if you let the computer do it, if you let the computer directly interact with the controls, you create a system that uses less energy.
Like a stock market, controlled by computer, by company. They price is going down a certain level of amount. They automatically sell stocks and
Right.
and buy and sell.
But
Very
yeah,
similar,
but you have,
right?
but you have to be careful. Oh, right. But okay, so that system that you're describing is not necessarily an AI system. It could also be like a heuristic system that has a lot of controls, like most ERP systems, for example. If this happens, then so if you get a purchase, then you check your stock, and if there's not in stock, you either you create a production order, and if you create a production order, then you check your raw materials, and if the raw materials are not there, you create a purchase order. That is a deterministic system. That means that you are tweaking the parameters in order to create an optimum way that you run your business. But AI does that more refined, because basically AI takes over. In a system like I just described, in an ERP system, you're basically applying human intelligence and make it scalable, because you can do that over and over and over again. But the system is just as intelligent as the software programmer. What AI does is that it actually proceeds, it becomes better than humans, because it has a capacity to be creative. And that creativity, that's crucial, because then at that point it becomes smarter than people. So if you can put more data into a system that then a human can process and apply and apply to a real life situation like this industrial plant, then the system becomes superior to what humans can do. But we shouldn't be too optimistic, because this is all in a rather single purpose environment. Reduce energy. If you add more complexity to it, you're going to add multiple, the system became more complex because they added more controls, because they wanted to let the AI run the entire plant, where the operators merely need to monitor and have the capacity to override. But that additional requirement, so simply applying safety standards to this system, reduced the energy efficiency from 40% to 30% reduction.